The time is just gone 18 minutes past 8 a.m. this morning, and we kick off this morning to be joined by Dr. Vusumuzi Sibanda. He is the chairperson of the African Diaspora Global Network Forum, and we are talking about xenophobia. We're talking about action against xenophobia, and let us remember that the fight against xenophobia or Afrophobia is real in this country. It is there, it exists, and we see it recurring over and over again. Dr. Vusumuzi Sibanda, good morning to you, sir. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Good morning, and good morning to your listeners.
Yes, obviously, Dr. Sibanda, when we're talking about xenophobia or Afrophobia, as I mentioned, this is real, this is a real problem, and it is happening all the time. And we see this anger that seems to be increasing on the ground over and over again. And we can say there are a variety of reasons for this. We can talk about poverty, we can talk about hunger, unemployment, even misinformation. But the problem on the ground is real as we speak.
Yes, it is very real. I think, like you said, the issue of xenophobia is basically should be understood in terms of the definition of that particular word, that this is discrimination and hatred of people based on, their countries of origin, or that they are not national. And if we listen, for example, to what was said by Nkanta from the Dudula group, saying that, look, we are just going against foreign nationals because they are either violating our bylaws or they are causing, the peddling of drugs and crime to increase in the country. So for whatever reason, there is hatred of migrant people that live within South Africa, and it is very real.
Yes. Now, let's talk about misinformation and just the amount of misinformation regarding foreigners in the country, and, just to understand what some of the issues are surrounding this misinformation.
Well, there is a lot of misinformation, very true, because the first thing is basically to say migrants, are the ones that commit crime, within South Africa. They peddle drugs, they've got shops that are not registered, or they are violating bylaws, and they do not pay tax because, they are either unregistered or they don't register their businesses. Now, when we look at the issue of tax to start with, there is no misinformation as serious as claiming that any person living in a country does not pay any form of tax, because the people that live in South Africa, whether documented or not documented, they eat, they travel on the road, which means that they pay taxi fares, and taxi fares has in it fuel levy and duties. Food that they purchase has got VAT, clothing, rentals, all these issues that they use and pay for services, they have got VAT, and therefore they pay tax. So to look at tax only as income tax, which is paid from the income directly, is disingenuous and serious misinformation.
Well, certainly it does sound, obviously, because as you mentioned correctly, so in the form of indirect taxes, we are paying a lot of taxes, and like you mentioned, and this is right across the entire country. But also, I think one of the key issues here, Dr. Vusumuzi Sibanda, is when we're looking at South Africans in particular, and looking at South Africans who have on many occasions failed to take opportunities, fail to realize that there are opportunities, or there have been opportunities available to them. Yet when we see people coming from other parts around the world, and in order to survive, they have identified these opportunities and taking advantage of these opportunities. And that is the reason why we see, that many of them are actually successful, whether they're running businesses, whether they're running a trade or any profession whatsoever.
Very true. If you look at some of the claims that were made, like saying foreign nationals have taken over spaza shop, it's laughable, even if it's happening in a very sad sort of a scenario, because the foreign nationals that are coming did not take anyone's spaza shop. They opened spaza shop from scratch, and they look at opportunities, and they provide those services that are not provided by the shops, like convenience. They open as early as 5 in the morning, close as late as 10, 11 at night. risking, even being battled or robbed. And they even extend, credit to the members within their community, where they give people on small books, which other spaza shop operators that are South Africans will not, in the majority of the cases, even, offer that. They even go on, obviously to provide, some of these services, at relatively fairer prices. So when you look at that piece of information that says foreign nationals are taking away spaza shops, you would think that, somebody is saying the foreign nationals have come in, kicked out South Africans from the spaza shop and started running them, which is not true. And a lot of them have got their shops looted, but they are so resilient to start from scratch and help each other and start restocking again and selling. You even then go to government level, where you see that sometimes the politicians are so dangerously disingenuous because they are actually grappling and they are holding on to the issue of, foreign nationals as the ones that are causing poor service delivery, when in fact we have got serious issues that are looking at corruption, that are looking at, failure, to deliver services because people are not working. And then they say we are not able to do that simply because there are too many foreigners, that are in the country.
Also, Dr. Vusumuzi Sibanda, besides just spaza shops and running businesses of that type, the skills base of foreigners that are in this country. And I think we've seen it over and over again. These people, obviously, many of them are highly skilled and provide some very, very valuable services, whether we're looking at, and I'm trying to think of a few examples, just perhaps a motor mechanic or someone who is a good handyman, for instance, or a plumber or an electrician or a tiler. These are highly skilled people that are coming into the country, and they are performing some very, very valuable services at reasonable prices as well.
Yes, very true. I mean, you look at those that are running their own, practices, like, the plumbers and all that, who understand, the need, to price and to be competitive, and then they are regarded as, offering, cheap services and taking out the local businesses. So what is basically happening is, when you look at the skill base, for example, a lot of people that are getting visas today in South Africa, are called or referred to as critical skills holders. And the people that go marching and saying they are not happy with foreigners, they are forgetting that if you go into hospitals, a very huge number of the doctors that we have in these hospitals, are doctors from other countries. If you go to artisans, boiler makers, they are all from other countries, engineers and so forth. And in fact, rather than appreciate the contribution that they make towards the economy in terms of taxes, in terms of services, people are just going out there and saying, we just hate them because they are foreigners. If they had not come here, South Africa would still be doing quite well, without them.
Now, just looking at action against xenophobia, what are some of the issues or what are some of the initiatives to make sure that, the pressure is kept on the powers that be, and more importantly, to take the action that is needed?
Well, I think one of the biggest problems that we have is the National Action Plan has not really been rolled out, so that the hate speech that, is exhibited or always exuded against, migrants is going to be easily actioned. But more than anything else, we believe that, not only education, but, if there are sterner sentences and measures that are taken against people that are caught looting, shops, or that are perpetuating, hatred towards migrants, like what we have seen just now in Soweto, where a group has come out calling itself Dudula. Now, when you look at those actions, once that action, for example, people go on strike and search people's houses, people that were searched yesterday, the guys that were doing that, yes, they were escorted by the police. The police did not even ask them, say, guys, do you have search warrants? Because no one can search anyone's premises without a search warrant. It's a violation of a constitutional right. So what we need to be looking at is basically to ensure that, the law is enforced at every stage, even if a crime is perpetuated against a migrant or against a local. So where, for example, the rights of migrants are infringed upon, we need to see the law being applied equally because it is the law of general application.
Well, Dr. Vusumuzi Sibanda, thank you very much for that and for your time with us this morning here on News and Views on Salam Media. All the best to you, sir.
Thank you very much and good morning.